Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Ivy. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
And our super producer,
Riley Bray.
Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year.
Shit, is it the New Year's already?
It's the New Year already. We're in January now. We're jumping in the time machine. Yeah, there we go. Happy New Year to all of you, and welcome to a brand new year of BCC and stories of high strangeness. Now, if it sounds like I'm speeding along here, I am. I'm ready to get 2024 started because we have some amazing guests with us today.
Yep.
Before we do that, hi, Riley. Hi, Bryce. I love you both, but I want to talk to them. Riley, let's check in with one of our Club Scouts who has left us a 5-star review. We're still going to do Amazon for now. This is an easy way to get the show to, to more people. So, Riley, who is our first 5-star Club Scout of the year?
Well, it's Sarah L. kicking the year off right. Review title, obligatory 5-star review, winky face. One of my top 5 all-time favorite pods. Love the high strangeness tales and always play along with bullshit or believe it. I'm writing a review here now since Spotify still doesn't have the option to write one, just rating, which I've already given 5 stars there too. So I've technically given you guys 10 stars, winky face, smiley face. Moms love Riley, Bryce, and Michael. P.S. This is not an AI review. 5 stars.
Grandpa's love. Grandpa's love, Michael. That's my motto. That's mine.
You find your niche.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah. All right. Well, this week's guests are 2 very funny people and co-hosts of the new podcast, Woo Woo with Rachel Dratch. If you're not listening to it now, you're going to be listening to it after this. I promise you. Club Scouts of all timelines, please welcome to the show, Rachel Dratch and Irene Bremis.
Hello. 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 Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. What?
I feel like you're on a. I feel like you're on your paranormal iceberg drifting towards our paranormal iceberg, and we're like waving you in.
I know.
We're colliding.
Here I was. I thought I had an original idea, and then I looked and I saw like, oh wait, there's a lot of stuff out here about this kind of thing. But you know what?
There's a lot. But we have an original title.
It just goes to show that there's a lot of woo woo happening in the world.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Yes.
And so tell us about the show. Do you guys focus mostly on what we would call woo-woo, or do you venture into the realm of like aliens and cryptids as well?
Well, we're kind of equal opportunity woo-woo employers. It started just because I would hear these stories. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is what happened with you guys. But it started because I would just hear these crazy stories over the years. And a few of them really stuck out for me and really kind of changed my whole worldview. But I always have the disclaimer, I'm not a crazy person. I'm always I don't really believe this, but you got to hear this one, that kind of thing. But so we did just have a sort of a UFO type of thing.
Yes, we did.
But we have, everything from ghosts to, the world of, sort of crystals and manifesting, that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, what else have we? Oh, past lives.
Past lives, manifesting.
Astral projection.
Astral projection.
Great.
Yeah, crazy
Ghost,
astral projection story. Yeah, but
mystical experiences.
Yes, we have
altered states of consciousness.
Yes,
all
we
that.
just
All
had a
that.
little chat about that. Yes,
Great.
although we haven't done a near death one yet. But anyway, we're sort of just interested in all of it. And like I said, every so often we hear a really over the years, the ones that are the most mind blowing are the ones that I called someone up that I knew 20 years ago and said, will you come tell that story that will not leave my mind? That kind of thing. So I don't know how you guys go about with your collected stories, but
It's pretty similar, but I think for most of us, we got our kick reading about weird stuff in our public school, like our elementary school library, like in the weird section, and then became fascinated by the idea of this
and
stuff.
to go back even earlier, Michael and I are both experiencers from a young age, and we think Riley is too.
Ooh,
we
I
think
like
he might have been
experiencers.
Experiencers.
I like that.
Yeah.
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 Say more.
So we both
about
had I had an encounter with what I call like a demon that peered in my bedroom window.
Ooh, okay.
and
Hello, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael, not
okay.
to tell his story, he also had a window encounter, but it was with what we consider an alien gray.
know
So
what
and
the
then
grays
Riley, he had this weird liminal space moment in the middle of his sleep where this strange light came into his room. I think he should get regressed. I'm pretty sure he was abducted for his musical talents. But you know, so in a strange way, we're all sort of like intimately connected with woo-woo.
Wow.
But we're not crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
But
okay,
we're
same.
But you always have to say that. It always has to end
But
with,
we're crazy.
we're not
But we're
crazy.
very crazy.
Wait,
we're
now,
Right,
did you guys
exactly.
know each other
Yeah.
from when you were kids? When you said
No,
No.
Bryce
Oh, okay,
really
okay.
made it sound like we went to
Yeah.
we were like in the
Okay,
Muppet
'cause
Babies
we went to
nursery
high
together,
school.
and we were not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
That was my
I love a
Steve
Muppet
version,
Babies
you know?
No, we went to high school together actually, but we didn't talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
it
we
was
didn't talk
just
about
like,
it. We
We
wouldn't
just
dare
like to
talk
hang
about
out,
it.
so then we thought we'd do this together. But anyway, that's interesting that you're experiencers.
Yeah,
Well,
I like
I'm
the
curious
term.
about you both. We ask all of our guests, what is your personal paranormal history? How did you get into this? And have you ever had an experience for yourself?
Well, I have had a couple experiences. I'm going to call myself an experiencer now that I know the
Great.
term.
Join the
Alright.
club.
No,
term.
so I've had well, let's see. I had this channeler tell me all the stuff that came true. That's one thing. And then
Whoa.
I had my own ghost story. Those are the two pillars of
That'll
woo-woo
work.
for me.
That'll work. That's the starter
then-
kit.
Starter kit, right. And then Irene, what about you? Had a premonition dream
I
when
did.
you were
I
a
had
kid.
a premonition dream when I was young. And I do believe that when you're young, you're more open. 13, I hear things about being a teenager. I don't know if it's hormones. I don't know what's going on there, but I feel like there was an openness. I did have a dream about the Pope getting shot in 1981, Pope John Paul.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys
Whoa.
remember that. You're young. Damn you.
Yeah,
Screw you.
no.
I'm sorry. Let's stick to the story. So I did have a dream
Wow.
that he got shot, and he got shot the next day. So that was it. And I've had a few
That's crazy.
dreams, premonitions,
That's
dream.
incredible.
Yeah, dreams that came true, which is my big claim to fame. And I always thought that it was because I was sort of like an impending doomist when I was a child. I always thought I was going to die at the age of 13.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. I never shared this with Rachel, so this is
Okay.
going to come
Oh
as
my
a surprise
gosh.
to her. She's going to be
Breaking
like, "Why have you been
news. Okay.
withholding? We need
Yeah.
to talk about this on Woo Woo." But I always thought I was going to die at 13, and I always felt like maybe in a past life I did die at 13. I had this recurring dream of skating in a pond. I know this sounds
What?
crazy, and I never
This
told
is
No.
Rachel
getting
about
dark.
this.
Okay.
So,
Whoa.
yeah,
I
this
don't
is
know
good.
what was happening. I was just so, I don't know if it's open or I was more connected. And so I've had several dreams that I've had, but this one obviously really stuck because it involved the Pope, and it was something that could be,
And it happened.
corroborated. Yes, it happened the next day.
Right.
Pope John Paul II, exactly. So that's
Yeah.
one of my woo-woo stories. And then I've had a few more. The demon, who mentioned the demon? Dream?
Bryce said a
was
demon.
that Bryce?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. What was yours? Like, for me, I felt like a demon was choking me. I don't know what your story is.
Ooh, you got an
Whoa.
incubus.
Oh.
Oh,
That's a
oh.
term.
I love
Well,
you guys
I guess
know
I'm
your
flattered because, I'm
I'm
at
gonna ask
least
them
somebody's
about
finding me attractive, but
I'm gonna.
I'm sorry. That was a lot.
Hey,
Wait,
father of Merlin, the wizard.
Yeah.
His father was an incubus, so he might be a
Right?
wizard.
Yeah.
So
You
we
know-
just had a guest. We had a guest on who had a demon type experience. So I'm curious what yours is. I'm sure you've told it on here, but I'm curious.
I have, but more so than the encounter, I'll sort of just skip to what I think is happening with demon encounters. There's
One peeked in his window. Let's just say that he saw a red looking
I'll give
demon
you-
peeking in his window.
Here's the short
that's
story, right? I had moved to a new neighborhood. it was a traumatic period in my life because my parents had just divorced. I think that plays into it. There was we moved into a new house, and then all these kids sort of coalesced on my driveway, and they had brought with them some strange game or something. I'm not sure. I can't recall what it was. I think looking back, I think it might have been a Ouija board or a Dungeons and Dragon game.
Okay.
Because my mother was gardening in the front yard. She saw the game. She saw the kids there, and she was like, "Get off my driveway." You know, she's a Christian woman. She was so that compels me to think that, oh my God, it was something, maybe a cult or something strange. So the kids left.
It was just Battleship.
It was Battleship. But later that night in my bedroom, you know, I had a bunk bed. My brother was above me. I was in a deep sleep and my eyes had just opened, and then I see, you know, I'm looking out my bedroom window, it's dark. I see this red luminescent creature enter frame profile, turn his head to me, peer into my soul with his yellow eyes, right? Like I'm like just glued. Maybe there was like a transfer of information or something there. And then it just turned back, and then it just walked off. Now, this could have been a kid in a mask, right? I'm open to that idea. But to me, it felt supernatural. It felt nefarious. And, well, not so much nefarious, but it changed the course of my life, because that moment sent me on this quest to sort of answer, find out, explore for myself what I had experienced, because to me it wasn't a dream. You know, I knew that it was an encounter, you know, and so I wanted to go on this quest to find what it was.
Wow.
But I want to go grab a book. Michael, hold on. Stay there. Go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
I feel like I'm now, Distracted Bryce is honestly one of the most
book of
fun
spells.
versions of Bryce we get on the podcast.
Yeah, he's like a cat with shiny
listen,
things, right?
Listen,
Yes.
Rachel, Irene,
Yes.
I know what you're doing, because we're podcast hosts. You're trying to get over here and host your show on our show because you want our stories, but we want your stories here.
How did you know?
No,
God damn
I
it.
was just, I was genuinely interested in the demon
man.
because we just heard a very scary ghost story. So then I was like,
did.
oh, it
Okay,
stacks
well,
up.
we're going to get to your
I got
stories.
fooled.
We're
We
getting
got
to
your
your
stories.
stories. But Bryce, what did you bring back from your library?
I couldn't find it, but it's Jacques Vallée's.
What? You come back
Wait, what's it
empty-handed.
called?
Well, hold on.
What's
It's Jacques Vallée's seminal work, and on the cover is an alien, but it's holding three different masks. One is that of the fairy, one is that of the demon, and one is that of the alien gray. His sort of thesis or hypothesis was that this phenomenon that interjects into our lives presents itself under different guises and wears masks to invade into our psychic space and into our lives. And so that demon could have very well been what we consider alien, an ultra-terrestrial, something else. There it is. Thank you, Michael.
I've got it right here.
Michael
has it. So see, the phenomenon wears these masks throughout different cultures and different time, and takes on different representations. And that could, and you know, it could have taken on a representation for both you and Rachel. You know, but anyway, that's what I wanted to jump to. Is I don't think it was a demon.
Right.
Wow.
It just
All
kind
right.
of presents itself depending
Right.
on what you're culturally, what you believe in. I was raised very
That's
Christian
right.
as well, so of course it would be a demon. What else would it be?
That was my
you know?
filter. That
Exactly.
sort of Lutheran Catholic filter that I perceived this phenomenon through.
Now, Rachel, what about this reading that you got where stuff came true, and then you can't just breeze past a phrase like,
That's wild.
I have a ghost story, and then feel like it's going to be ignored on this
well,
show.
the ghost story. So the ghost story, I think, might be better than the challenge.
great story.
Well, I don't know, but okay. So I mean, I told this on ours too, but should I kind of repeat myself here? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We do it all the time.
Bryce
okay.
just did it for the 10th time.
Okay, so my ghost story is, so I've never had a ghost story ever until this. And I was staying at a hotel in LA for about a month doing a movie. And this hotel does not look spooky at all. It doesn't look like, oh, beware. You know, it was very sort of like 70s, 80s-ish. And so I'd be going to sleep, and one night going to sleep, I'd just fallen asleep, and I looked up in the corner of the room, appeared to be two men standing there, and they looked to be from another time. Okay. So now I fully admit that, you know, whatever, like you said, like, well, maybe this is a dream, you know, because I don't want to be like, it's a ghost. But anyway, so they looked like they were from another time in that they almost looked like they were dressed sort of like John Waters. Like they had skinny suits, and one was in like like a light green suit. And the other was in a pinkish sort of suit. They looked like they might have been from like the 40s or early 50s or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
Very
they were
fun.
like skinny ties, and they just looked like, I don't know, just like, and I this is the part that makes me always feel like a little crazy, but I just got the feeling, you know how no words are actually, I just got the feeling that they were a couple on the down low. I got
That-
just like they're my gay ghosts, and I would joke around to my friends the next day because then they would appear more than once. So then, like, you know, I was staying at this place for a month, like I said, and it got to the point where, as embarrassing as this is, I would say out loud, like, on, you know, you have to wake up super early to do movies. It was like 5 a.m. call time, and I would be like, you guys, please don't come tonight because I have to wake up earlier. Like, that was actually me saying out loud. And so, but they appear maybe like 4 or 5 times. Okay. So then but they didn't seem scary. Like, I wasn't frightened. I was just it was a little unsettling, but I wasn't like, you know. So then about maybe a year later, I don't know how long, I had to go back and stay in this same hotel to do press or something. And whatever
They set out
room
brunch for you. You woke up and there was like a very sophisticated spread.
they picked out my outfits for the next day. But so no, then about a year later, I had to go back and, like, let's say I had been in room 325 or something, and I was thinking like, okay, please don't get room 325. And then I check in, I get room 326. I'm in the next room over. So then I that night, and maybe you guys will have some information on this, but that night I wake up at like 3 a.m. feeling like something is pressing down upon me, which I heard later.
Succubus, incubus, old hag
Incubus,
thing.
succubus.
I just got a chill because
Yep.
I felt like this, like,
Yes.
and those gay ghosts, they were nice, like, but this felt like evil, you know. And so
You should have
something-
requested your old room, Rachel.
I know.
Yeah.
So something is pressing down, and I'm like struggling to get to the light, you know, struggling to get up, and I turn on the light. And then I see, you know, because I put this in quotes because who knows if I was dreaming, but I see this older woman, like, turn corner out of the room. And she also looked like she was from that time. Like, she had that kind of gray hair that, you know, when ladies used to go to the beauty parlor and get their hair set, like, sort of Golden Girls-ish kind of thing.
Like young Dolly Parton.
Yeah, but like
Like the
with
big
gray.
beehive.
Well, it wasn't giant like that. It was more like an older lady.
Yeah.
And so she turned out of the room, and I was just like, and that, like, I couldn't fall back asleep, and I was really freaked out. So anyway, cut to, I'm like searching online later to see if anyone had any experiences, and they don't. So I just kind of give up. Okay. Well, then, like 12 years later, I know this is my quest. No, but this happened across my path.
Yeah.
Happened across my path that 12 years later, I was doing press for something, and the guy doing my hair for it happened to mention, he was telling funny showbiz stories about a pain in the ass older movie star. But anyway, and he said that she was at this hotel where his friend is the concierge, and it was that hotel. And I was like, wait a minute, your friend is the concierge? So I had him text her right then and there. I was like, text her and ask if it's haunted. And she writes back right away, like, yes, it's definitely haunted. Yep. We've heard all these stories, blah, blah. And so then I was so driven by this story that I was like, can I talk to her? So on a later day, I call her up just to hear what the stories were. And the biggest takeaway that I had is I said, what do people report seeing? And she said, a dapper gentleman and a mean old lady.
Wow.
Wow.
That is absolutely
I know.
corroborating
And the
your
word
sighting.
dapper, like, it's such a word, we don't really use that now. It's like, you know, a fancy gentleman of a past time.
Very
So
specific
it couldn't
to that
have
time.
fit more to describe.
My old lady is going to suck the life out of you tonight. You're going to love it.
right. And so and the mean old lady. So anyway, but on our show I told the story, and we did have the concierge come on and tell the other stories around the hotel. But that was my one and only ghost story. And it did
I love it. That's a good one. There's actually
that's
2
a
in
great
1.
I have a question. A question. Rachel, were you sort of skeptical of the paranormal before these experiences, or?
I mean, I was sort of open to it, but I don't know that I believed in ghosts. Like, I've never, I don't really, until I had that sort of vision, I never understood what a ghost would appear as, because, you know, I just know back then, like, I blinked my eyes, you know, trying to make this go away, and like it doesn't go away,
and it wouldn't go
and
away.
I kind of wouldn't expect to see colors. Like, that was sort of surprising to me.
Fascinating. Yeah.
But like I said, I've never had anything after that. I mean, I hope not to, because I do get a little creeped out by it. But
you're not enjoying it?
Well, I mean, I don't know that I'd want to see another ghost, but that was my only thing. So it did make me kind of shift my beliefs a little bit.
It's paradigm shifting for sure.
Yeah. So that is my story.
That's a good one.
Amazing.
I mean,
That's a
that
good
would
one.
make me a believer. It would.
So you two have been doing this podcast for a few months now. How
not
are
super
your
long.
attitudes and opinions beginning to evolve around the subject of the unexplained?
Great question, Michael.
I'm having two. I'm
Yeah.
having like two disparate things. One is like we've definitely heard some stories that make you go, okay, I don't know how to explain this. You know, other than this is something
Inexplicable and there's.
But then what we see, we also sort of dabble in.
Go
we
ahead.
dabble in like we went, for example, we went to have, we've only done 2 sort of field trips, but we went to have this thing called like aura photography. And it was total bullshit.
It was total horseshit.
We found,
Right.
we
Yeah.
found
I'm sorry,
that it was
there's no other way to
total
put it.
Utter
bullshit. So
utter
like,
horseshit.
Horseshit.
so like, there's a whole world of it that is, I'm just like, you're not helping our cause here. Like, there's a world, like whenever you're paying for something, there's always people that claim they can do this or that. Like, I don't always buy that. So that's been one sort of, I don't know, section of this. But then we've also, it seems like, as I'm sure you guys know, like everyone seems to have a story.
Right.
Maybe you're finding that.
Even when they don't, even when they say they don't have a story, they still have a story. You know, they go, oh, we've had people come on and be like, yeah, I mean, I haven't really had anything. I did see a full form apparition in my apartment one time, but I don't believe in ghosts. Yeah, you're like,
yes, all the time. All the time. It happened today.
Total disconnect. Yeah.
Irene, what about you? How are your opinions shaping and shifting about this or around the subject?
I feel like, Rachel, some things are inexplicable. Other things I'm like, well, could it be this? Could it be that? And of course, a lot of things we're debunking along the way. I'm sorry.
So
like
one person told us a story where she had like a psychic come to cleanse her house energy or whatever. And she said, right when she walked in, like 2 birds flew overhead. And then the woman said like, oh, that's your father and your uncle. And then we kind of were just like, okay. But then afterwards we were like, it was just a couple birds. You know, like, and then we keep joking around,
we
sending
kept
each other like pigeons
There's
pictures.
Uncle
Like,
Bob.
Dad, is that you? So
we picked up the ball and ran with that one. We still do.
Yeah.
On sad days,
the
we're
bird
like,
thing
there's Uncle
kind of
Joe.
got us as what? But I forget what we were saying here.
Well, you know, there's some stories, again, I think that, but it's interesting because even the thing is that our guests connect to these stories so much. It's interesting to see people just wanting, even if I'm skeptical about certain things, I just love seeing people just wanting to believe in something more, you know, and it gives them some sort of joy or comfort. Like, yes, you know, when somebody did see those 2 pigeons, I'm sorry, I'm going back to.
I mean,
Uncle
you're
Joe
talking to a
exactly.
man who thinks that his uncle may have showed up in a form of a hummingbird once, so it's okay.
Really?
Yeah,
It's an exotic bird. It's acceptable.
I want to believe. I want to believe. No,
It was in a grocery store after he had passed, and I said, "I wish we could go shopping together. I wish you were in the. I wish we were together right now." And then I walked in the grocery store, and a hummingbird, which was like a symbol that I relayed to him, was in the grocery store.
Wait, hold on. There was a hummingbird in the grocery store.
Yeah, in the Gelson's. Yeah, at Gelson's down on Franklin, there was.
Oh, I know that.
No, this is a totally different story.
Well, that
okay.
sounds
Okay, all
better.
right.
I'm not talking about a hummingbird in a deli or grocery store. We're talking about somebody who walked outside in New York City, saw 2 pigeons, and was like, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Uncle Joe."
So basically, Michael just called you pigeons. Let's to recap.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a hummingbird.
I like
no,
that.
that's I'm just.
But I like all those. I like all those stories. Like, I really want to believe. We always talk about like we want signs, but we don't get them. Like that's the one that I don't know how you guys feel about like, you know,
Signs.
being able to converse with the dead or whatever. Like that's an area that I haven't really heard much convincing on. But I don't know what you found.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I tell a quick story? I think we have time for this. If we don't, we can cut it out of the rest of the episode. But Rachel, you were talking.
Yeah.
Rachel, when you were talking about talking to the elegant ghosts and telling them to leave you alone that night, and you felt stupid, I wanted to let you know this will make you feel better. Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard a weird thunk, like that sounded like there was something in my room. Okay. And we recently did a paranormal investigation in a haunted Victorian house. What? I've had weird stuff happen in my apartment before, around specifically like 4:45 in the morning. And and I suddenly got the creepy feeling like, oh shit, something's here. Like I couldn't figure out what made this sound. Nothing fell. It almost sounded like something had kicked my doorstop. I woke up and I remember going, is it 4:44 right now? And I looked over at turned over my clock. It was 4:44 on the dot. So I got spooked.
Yes.
So my dogs sleep in the room with me and they were fine. But I was suddenly
bring up the dogs.
I was worried that there might be something in my house that was not human. So I got up and I searched the house. I didn't find anything. And then just to be safe, I grabbed salt from my kitchen and I sprinkled salt in front of my apartment door, my side door, and then my bedroom door. And went back to bed. So
will you marry
I'm
me?
doing
Seriously?
that,
will you marry me? I'll get down on one knee if I have to.
I'm sorry.
All right?
You don't want to deal with this. But it was kind of like the weird combo of like the confirmation of the time and then just having like the spookies. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab some salt.
The time is better safe than sorry, and the time is really crazy.
But you know what you're reminding me of? Because I'm sure, did you guys read Amityville Horror when you were
I
too
did.
young?
Scared.
Did you read that?
We talked about it on the show.
Because like
Scared
that
me to
thing of
death.
3:15.
Yep, 3:15
that was
every
some
day.
like
Night.
bad time. That's all I remember. So anytime I would wake up at 3:15, I was terrified, and then I was afraid of Jody the pig.
And
which
you
I'm
would
sure
wake up at
Yes, Jody.
That's
horrible.
Jody the pig.
And 2 nights ago, my dog woke up and got me up at 4:44 in the morning.
No.
So I've been having a
Okay.
weird moment with that time.
Well, so
you
you
guys
want to
ever
hear my? Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, go.
Wait, I have
Go,
a very
Rachel,
quick-
go.
Wait, I have a super quick
Yes.
question. Do you guys
Yes.
get scared that like doing this show is gonna bring
more of
Yes,
it?
we've been
I
told.
think about that with our show, Rachel.
We've been
I
told.
always think that.
We've been told
what?
by a medium friend of ours who's been on the show,
gosh.
Adela Levine. The more you talk about this, the more you open yourself up to having
okay.
experiences.
Okay, well, maybe some good
I don't know how I
experiences.
feel about that.
Okay,
Part of
sorry,
me is
I
frightened.
interrupted.
Go on.
You would want to
No, that's okay.
Okay.
So I think I was going to sort of chime in on this this window of liminal space that happens deep in the night, like maybe between like 3 and like Michael said 5. I think it sort of happens around this time is because this is the time when most people are asleep and especially entering that deep REM cycle of sleep. Now,
Hypnagogic.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this seems to be a membrane that seems to be more easily penetrable by the phenomenon, and so as we're in that sort of, it really is an altered state of consciousness, this dream space that we enter into, and it sort of pierces the membrane for other things to come through and for things to get out. And I think that's why so many encounters and abductions and contacts happen around this window of high strangeness. They call the 3 a.m. is really the marker. 3 a.m., 3:30.
That's great. I think you're right. And I also have a time too. I wake up every night at 4:19. Not 4:44, but 4:19. Often 4:19, 4:19. It got so bad that I'm afraid to look. I literally get afraid to look because I know when I look at the clock, it's going to be 4:19. And I think a lot of people have these.
Does that number hold any significance to you?
Birthday?
It's Hitler's birthday,
No,
I
it's
think.
Oh, God.
It's 420. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm a day off.
No, but you're right. Hey, my birthday's April 18th, and April 19th has always been a day of bad happenings around the globe. It's sort of a notorious day in history. Yeah.
Really? I had no
We're
idea.
from Lexington, Massachusetts.
Right.
April 19th is the Battle of the Revolution, but nobody knows that except us. Okay, anyways. That was the Battle of Lexington, April 19th. That has nothing to do with the paranormal right now. Okay,
Connecting
sorry.
the dots.
Yes, we are.
Hey Club Scouts, you got your thumbs on the pulse. You've probably heard of microdosing. Well, if not, just know that all sorts of people, from ufologists to podcast listeners like you, are microdosing to feel healthier and perform better. Microdose gummies deliver perfect entry-level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good. Listen, I'm not just a BCC boy, I'm a THC boy too. Don't tell my mom. I like to use THC to, get a little creative. It makes me feel better when I'm trying to fall asleep at night and keeps those night terrors away. I like to help, chill me out. But here's the thing. I am a little bit of a lightweight, so microdosing is great for me. They taste amazing. They feel great. I've used them to help me get in that zone while doing creative work. And at night, they definitely help me wind down, chill out, and sleep like a little baby. So, all around 10 out of 10 for me. Get 30% off your first order plus free shipping today at microdose.com, promo code BCC. It's available nationwide. That's microdose.com, promo code BCC for 30% off and free shipping. Microdose.com, promo code BCC. All right. Well, we have a game that we like to play with all of our guests. I'm going to go down a list of phenomena, rapid fire style.
Ooh.
You guys have to make a choice
heard
right
you do
now.
this. Okay,
if
yeah.
you're open to it, you're going to say believe it. If you're not open to it, you're going to say bullshit. There's no in between in this period of time.
Okay.
Do we say it at the same time?
You can say it at the
No,
same
let's say it
time.
at
And
the
then
same time.
if there's anything
Okay.
that we're struggling with, we're gonna go back. We can go
Okay.
back and talk about it after we're through the list. Now,
Okay.
this is a new list for 2024. Some
Oh,
of these,
nice.
some new
Great.
ones.
Yeah, I like it.
This will probably get
Updated
fleshed out.
list.
So you guys are taking you're the first people to
Okay.
take a stab at this list.
Okay.
Oh
Great.
wait, hold on. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna add this, and this. Okay, here we go. Rachel, Irene, on your mark, get set, ghosts,
Believe it.
Yes, believe.
Bigfoot,
Ooh,
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
UFOs.
Believe.
Gotta say believe it. Okay, I'm really
Believe
strict
it.
about
Okay.
these rules.
Believe
Okay,
it.
sorry.
Believe it.
Wow. Okay. You were
It's not
just
called
on
bullshit or
Jeopardy.
believe. Okay.
Okay, believe
Yes.
it.
Ouija boards,
Believe it.
Believe it.
tarot cards,
Bullshit. Well, I did have that bad tarot experience, though. Okay.
Bullshit. I'm sorry.
alien abductions,
Ooh, believe it? I can't believe
Bullshit.
I'm saying that.
shapeshifters,
I don't really know what that is.
Bullshit.
I'll have to ask you what that is after.
Shapeshifters are
Okay, bullshit, because she
dog,
said.
then
I don't know what
cat,
it is. Okay.
and a person.
shadow people,
Believe it.
Bullshit.
gnomes,
Oh, bullshit.
Bullshit.
astral projection,
Believe it. You heard
Believe
the story.
it. Yeah. Okay. Believe it.
psychic dreams,
Believe
Believe
it.
it.
sheep squatch.
What?
What's that?
It's like a giant sheep monster. A giant
I don't
sheep
believe
monster.
that.
Okay, bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. I can't hit the button fast enough. I can't.
Bat squatch.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
All squatches bullshit. Let me just save you some time.
The lizard man of Skateboard Swamp.
Bullshit.
I've never heard of him, but I'm going to say bullshit.
Yeah.
Speaking to the dead.
Oh.
Now bullshit.
I really want to say it, but I'm going to say bullshit. But
You
I
gotta say
really
bullshit.
want to believe.
Demons.
Ooh,
Ugh, believe
shit.
it.
I'm going to say
Sadly.
bullshit and then get
Okay.
haunted tonight. Okay.
Wendigos.
What?
I'm sorry. I don't know what
we
those
don't
are.
know what those are.
They're the spirits
cut.
of cannibals that roam the earth, cursed.
Bullshit.
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 And they should be-
Werewolves.
Oh,
Bullshit.
bullshit.
They should be what? What should Wendigos be?
I think they should be coupled with the
The
previous
Squatch, the
section.
Squatch family?
Okay.
Yeah, something. Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever.
Cannibal
Okay.
Squatch.
Sorry.
Parallel universes.
Oh, maybe I believe it. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm on the fence about that
Okay,
one.
you say bullshit then.
Okay, I'll say bullshit.
Past lives.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Doppelgangers.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
I don't really know what it is. but-
Bullshit.
I mean, I know what
Destiny.
Oh, believe it.
Oh, gosh. Bullshit?
Life after
Destiny?
death.
Ooh.
Believe it. Believe it.
I want to believe it.
I believe it.
Okay, great. Well done, everybody.
Well done.
You survived your bullshit
hold on a
or
second.
believe it.
Rorschach test.
Okay, and it's Rachel. Okay.
What was I going to say? Oh,
Do you want to circle back to anything?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think we had a lot of questions, but
Yeah, I mean the sheep squatch.
do you guys believe in sheep squatch?
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something. The longer you do this show, the more open your mind gets to weird stuff. Now,
Yeah, you're
Don't you think
sprinkling
that sheep
salt around your house now.
squatches could also say that 5 times fast? Sheep squatch. I mean, they
don't
could be
like
coupled
sheep
with like
squatch either.
demonic or gray people, right? The gray.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
it's a
technically.
cryptid. I mean,
Yeah.
some people claim that they've seen something that's like a big bipedal hairy creature with horns, so it gets the name sheep squatch, you know?
Or it could
A
be
giant-
my uncle. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, who's now a pigeon. But the more you look into this stuff, the more you start to go, okay, you still look like Rachel mentioned earlier. There's hucksterism in all of this stuff. You know what I
Hucksterism,
mean?
we love that word.
We does.
Yes.
Rachel's
Yeah.
favorite word, actually. Yep.
Okay.
But there's just so much weird lore out there, and we have kind of found the deeper and deeper you get into the stuff in a weird way, the more and more things seem possible. For example, like if this is like, what if it all turns out to be that like we're all psychically projecting our innermost fears or, you know, symbols, you know, that there's some sort of bleed between our inner worlds and our outer reality. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Almost
I mean,
like
I believe
augmented
that.
reality of stuff, you know? So you can get into a lot of weird shit. So do I believe in sheep squatch? No. Am I open to stories about sheep squatch? Yeah, definitely.
Michael likes the weird ones.
I love the weird ones.
Michael, you have a wonderful woo-woo attitude, and I could take a page
Thank
out of
you.
your book. Seriously.
All right, well,
Yeah.
let me rip it out.
Yeah.
Make a copy and give it back to me.
I like what you said. What your belief system is sort of like something that you can externalize. Like if I believe in something, I'm raised a certain way. I'm more prone to believing certain things, so I can get behind that.
We kind of tend to think that, you know, 5-6 years into doing the show that like reality is a little bit more interactive than we might think.
It's malleable.
We might
Yeah, we've
actually
been hearing
think.
stories like that. But I like that you guys you do the deep dive on
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
do.
stuff. Like, we're only going off of stories we've heard from friends. So I'm not out there researching, you know, the shadow people, whatever. But I like that you have a much wider knowledge of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
we're just going off of like, so
You guys have just begun the journey. Get back to us in
have.
7 years.
Yeah.
We'll see how you
We'll be
feel.
like,
Okay.
We have
Well,
an
I like-
interview
I-
with Sheep Squad.
Hashtag substantial.
Yeah.
That's
I
a new
like what
joke.
you're doing, what you guys are doing, because I think in a way you're sort of confronting coincidence, right? By hearing people's ghost stories, you're saying, come on, like, what are the odds of that just being, you know, something that I misidentified or some like total coincidence, right? When and we were talking about it earlier, you know, the paranormal sort of affects everybody's lives in a way like cancer does. If you haven't experienced the paranormal, then you know somebody who has, or somebody close to you has, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
I forget what I was going with that. But just here, I think I love hearing people's stories because you know, this is where all the details, the weird stuff comes out as people's experiences.
Right,
and that's
right.
the most important, that's always the most important thing. You know, Terence McKenna, who was a sort of a famous psychonaut and ethnobotanist, he used to say, you know, the individual's experience is of prime importance, more so than science, more so than religion. It's our own individual experience that marks our relationship to the universe. So, you know, so those ghost stories are important to hear from people, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into this week's story of high strangeness. This is a story of the unexplained from history. Now, Rachel and Irene are going to jump in and play some parts in this week's story. So you guys get ready for your lines. I'll cue you when it's time. All right. Here we go. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that there's nothing I like more than a classic flying saucer story. You know, those real CSs. But some UFOs come in different shapes and sizes, from saucers to diamonds to cigars to Tic Tacs. UFOs are as varied as the distant planets or nearby dimensions we imagine them to hail from. But one shape in particular brings a peculiar sense of silent menace, and maybe because its shape and color evokes the striking angular features of the Dark Lord of the Sith himself, Darth Vader. I'm, of course, talking about black triangles. Yes. Emerging into the field of high strangeness around the late 1970s, early 1980s, black triangles are UFOs or UAPs of dark color and of typically immense size that are most often observed flying over both rural and populated areas at night. Eyewitnesses often note that these mysterious flying triangles feature bright white lights at each corner, but commonly a red glowing light in the center. Sometimes these triangles are not solid, but V-shaped, lined with lights down each arm of the craft. Due to their resemblance to military aircraft like the stealth bomber and the silent, slow pace of blimps, there's a large audience out there that believe that these are some type of secret government technology. But if that's the case, why are they so often seen in highly populated areas, such as they were in 1997 in Phoenix, Arizona? You would think the military would want to keep their top secret flying boomerangs, well, secret. One of my favorite black triangle cases took place in southern Illinois in the early days of the year 2000. The world was just coming down from Y2K anxiety, and I remember turning on my television and hearing about a mass sighting of a black triangle that silently flew over St. Clair County, Illinois, like a ghost in the night. We had just avoided the apocalypse, and now black triangles were invading our skies? What made the story most intriguing is that it was witnessed by multiple police officers that night who had no clue what they were looking at. Now, I don't know about you, but there's just something that really captures my imagination when a mundane night on the job is interrupted by the fantastical. So let's get into it. This is the case of the St. Clair Triangle. Now, I picked this out especially for you, Rachel, because I know that you spent some time in Chicago, and this happened in southern Illinois. Irene, what about you? You're from Kentucky. Did you ever spend time in Chicago?
No, we're from Lexington, Massachusetts.
Oh, Max. Sorry. I heard Lexington.
The other Lexington.
The other Lexington.
Yes.
That makes more sense about the Revolutionary War now. That makes sense. I was like,
okay, you were like,
Great Kentucky Revolution.
I was like,
history.
I was like, man,
exactly. Yeah, okay.
that went really far south.
there
I
you
didn't
go.
realize that was happening.
There's been a lot of back talk after the show, man. They don't know their
Yeah,
history.
I had a
That's
lot of
pretty
questions.
bad.
I was going to do some new research, but anyway. It was the wee hours of January 5th, 2000. The air was crisp and ice cold. Worried that the cold temperatures might freeze the pipes of his miniature golf course, 66-year-old Melvin Knoll of Highland, Illinois, had just finished a truck driving shift from Bloomington, Indiana, and decided to check on the family arcade called Funland that he'd owned for the last 12 years. It was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I happened to look toward the northeast and I seen like a bright star. I never thought about it too much, just that's awful low for being a star.
Mel shook it off and went inside to check the plumbing and poke around the office for a minute, and when he returned outside...
I looked up and there it was, just like a big house floating in the air with windows in it and a bright light on the inside, like there might have been a big room in there. I couldn't hardly believe my eyes what I was seeing up there. I mean, there was no noise, nothing. And I was looking for wings and I couldn't see no wings on it. I thought, what in the heck is it? I just kept watching it, and at one point it seemed like it slowed down, and I had the feeling it spotted me down here, and it scared the heck out of me. Then it kept going toward the southwest.
Mel drove to the Highland Police Station where he reported the craft to police officers, which he described as being the size of a football field, and moving at about 50 miles per hour at an elevation somewhere between 800 and 1,000 feet. Dispatch sent out a call to Officer Ed Barton on duty in Lebanon, the town over, which the craft would now be flying. The following dialogue was lifted from transcripts taken that night.
Lebanon, this is a call from 8 Highland PD in reference to a truck driver who was just stopped in. He said there was a flying object in the area of Lebanon. It looks like a 2-story house. It had white lights and red blinking lights, and it was last seen southwest over Lebanon. Can you check in that area?
Did they say the truck driver was DUI or anything? 10-4, I'm out. Just a quick question. If I happen to find it, what am I supposed to do with it? If I see it, I'm not saying a word.
Officer Barton pulled over and scanned the night skies. Sure enough, he spotted a bright white light heading towards Summerfield.
Be advised, there is a very bright white light east of town. It looks like it's just east of Summerfield, and it keeps changing colors. I'll go over there and see if it looks like an aircraft. It doesn't look like an aircraft, though. It's not the moon, and it's not a star.
Barton flipped on his cruiser lights and sped down the road, worried that the object might be a plane in mid-crash. As he got closer to Summerfield, he could catch glimpses of the object through the trees. And once he was in town, he got a full view of it, about 200 feet away from the object. It shone so brightly he had to squint his eyes to look at it. He described it as being an elongated, narrow triangle, but massive, so big that it blotted out the stars that would have been above it. On each corner of the craft were bright white lights. Half a mile from Barton's position was a 43-year-old night owl named Johnny Doss. Doss had been up late listening to the police scanner. He'd heard the calls. So he hopped outside to take a peek, and sure enough, there was the craft, quote, larger than an airliner, end quote, according to his description, passing overhead. He stood in his yard for 5 to 10 minutes watching it drift silently until the craft drifted eastwardly away from town. Meanwhile, Barton watched as the craft turned and left town. He later told the Riverfront Times,
I was a military brat, 21 years. My father was an active duty Air Force, so I'm familiar with both foreign and domestic aircraft. It got to where I could usually identify an aircraft just by the engine noise. And when the thing went over, it made zero noise. I mean, that's what really caught my attention. No noise whatsoever.
The object accelerated. Barton radioed dispatch alerting that the thing was now headed towards Shiloh. Over the next half hour, multiple officers hopped on the call. Dave Martin of the Shiloh Police Department, Craig Stevens of the Millstadt Police, and Matt Janney of the Dupo Police all got eyes on this triangle. Again, here's a highlight from the transcript.
I see something, but I don't know what the heck it is. It's probably heading to Lambert.
Yeah, I've got that object in sight also.
Are you serious?
It's huge.
What does it look like to you?
It's kind of V-shaped. Looks like it's possibly headed toward Lambert.
Officer Stevens, who Bryce just portrayed, grabbed a Polaroid camera and snapped a picture of it. Unfortunately, it didn't capture the grandeur of what Stevens described as a fat arrowhead about 18 to 20 feet thick with 3 white lights in back and a red light at the bottom. Instead, all you can see is a blurry photo with small streaking lights, which I'll put up in the Instagram even though there's not much to look at.
Dang.
Officer Janney got a good look at the object through a pair of binoculars as it passed over the small town of Dupo. According to Janney, it wasn't like a normal aircraft. It was real wide and real long and taller in the middle with lots of lights on it. White lights at the extremes, red lights in the middle. There may have been some blue in there too. Janney watched as the craft first headed north and then east out of sight towards Cahokia. A couple hours later, a commuter by the name of Steve Wanacott, a 50-year-old English teacher, saw the craft while driving to work at East St. Louis High School in East St. Louis. As the sun rose, Wanacott was headed along I-225 when he noticed a large arrowhead-shaped object hovering in place in the southwestern sky over Frank Holton State Park. He later told reporters, "It had a couple of really bright lights with many other smaller lights around it. It looked to me to be motionless, but it was hard to judge since I was moving." Wanacott was the last person to lay eyes on the object, but word of the mass incident quickly spread. Everyone from local news to the Discovery Channel to hotel magnate turned paranormal UFO researcher Robert Bigelow invested the case. Everything from aliens to secret military craft to advertising blimps were tossed out there as an explanation. But the eyewitnesses that night all remained baffled as to what they saw. It remains a mystery today, only defined by its nickname, the St. Clair Triangle.
Killer.
There you go.
Wow.
Now,
Love it.
Rachel, Irene, what the hell was that?
I don't
Well,
know.
we just heard a story
Yes.
about black triangles. This is
We
really
did.
weird.
Oh, no,
Yes,
wait, really?
Ah.
Yes.
Yeah,
By,
something but that was in Peru or something.
in Peru, right.
But we haven't done a lot of UFO.
He was our
delving,
first one.
But that sounds pretty. I don't know. Like now that the government has come out and said
Yeah.
there's UFOs and
They have
That
remnants
sounds
of
inexplicable.
aliens and materials that are not human.
Yeah, what's that? Non-human biologics?
The non-human
Yeah.
biologic,
Non-human
exactly.
biologics.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think of it? The story.
I think it's,
Well, I'll chime in. I love it when law enforcement agency, someone who wears the military uniform, reports an incident or a strange occurrence like a UFO or UAP because they're trained observers. Not only that, they have to log or report the incident, which you saw in that transcript, and so it leaves a written record of the report. And then not only that, you have more than one officer seeing it, so you can corroborate. You have multiple witnesses. You have a trained observer seeing it. And so to me, this makes this this black triangle encounter very legitimate, very real. We don't have, nor does anyone else on Earth, I don't think, have the technology to do silent craft. In other words, propulsion systems are moving pretty exotically, but there's nothing that can hover silently and move left, right, forward, back. There just isn't.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you're going to
That's
hear
exactly
something,
what our guest
or
was
you're
saying,
going
same
to,
thing.
or you're going to see engine contrail.
And there was stuff that they looked into that backs up Bryce, like certain blimps that they had at the time, even in retrospect, going back and looking at the technology later, and like the B-2 bomber, like none of these really fit the description of what people were seeing. No,
and so these black triangles are a mystery. I know there's sort of there's one side of this story where there people think the government is working on some type of black triangle craft. But whatever they're working on certainly doesn't have soundless characteristics.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people, but I'll say after researching this case,
right? Isn't it called or something?
Yeah, and we're going to, over on the other side, our Patreon on Friday, we're going to take a little bit deeper look into some of these cases, and I'm starting to shift my opinion on what's going on here. So
okay, great. We're looking forward to that. What do you ladies think about these strange triangular crafts that hover silently over major cities?
I
don't
know what to say.
I mean, I don't know what to say, but I'm starting to believe. Obviously, there's something out there, and I think that now since they had that that hearing or whatever, where they came up with the non-human, DNA and materials. I'm glad that they're not, gaslighting everybody by saying it doesn't exist.
But also that one officer that said he was trained and the character I portrayed so beautifully.
Well done.
That he was
Officer
trained,
Ed Barton.
He was
Barton
trained
was
in
trained.
airplanes and he knew everything about them.
Yeah.
And he was, that was kind of impressive.
Yeah.
These
Exactly,
things,
Rachel.
they're often described. Now, this one was a less brilliant triangle. It only had the 3 lights and the red light in the center. But oftentimes, they're just, they're described as being the size of a football field.
Right.
And other people have described them looking like a city of lights flying through the sky. Like it's very Spielbergian in a lot of these cases.
I think the characteristics, the hovering, and the back and forth, because there's a lot of erroneous sightings too from stoned people that are staring up at the sky. You know what I mean? So you have to be very specific about the characteristics.
You want to hear a fun fact where UFOs and Hollywood merge?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Do you know who was the first pilot to record the Phoenix Lights, that mass sighting of the UFOs that took place in Phoenix in the 80s? Kurt
90s.
Russell. Kurt Russell, the actor, was on his way from L.A. to Phoenix with his son Oliver when he saw the strange craft in the sky, and he said, "What the fuck is that?" And he called it in. And when he landed in Phoenix, he reported it, and his report is on record as being one of the first piloted reports of the Phoenix Lights. Now, here's another interesting thing: he sort of forgets about it. Right? And it's not until he's in bed with Goldie Hawn, who's watching a UFO show, and she's watching something about the Phoenix Lights, where Kurt goes, "Holy shit. That's what I saw. I fucking reported that."
Wow.
He had totally forgotten about it, right? So strange. These things have a way of affecting our consciousness too, as they did in Phoenix. But
And
anyway,
Rachel, just so you know, we're calling dibs on Kurt Russell being on our show, so you can't have Kurt Russell on your show.
We are so.
All right.
I have no connection to
we are
Kurt
so
Russell.
you don't.
damn,
I would never steal your guest.
never steal Kurt.
I would never.
Well,
We
yeah.
would never.
Anyway.
Yeah. What is it? Poaching? We won't do that.
Yeah.
But we
No,
will
we
have
call
Goldie
dibs.
Hawn
Special
on.
joint episode.
Yeah. All right, fair. I mean, she just had an
Crossover.
alien encounter herself. There was a whole story about how she believes she was visited by aliens. So there you go.
Haunted?
Yeah.
I know, I just saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
You
know,
have
you guys-
Kurt and Goldie. You have Kurt and Goldie.
Okay,
We're
fair
happy.
enough.
We're happy.
Rachel,
we
Irene.
get Shirley MacLaine.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Great. Okay, deal. Let's keep this. We'll keep the back channels open. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you guys. Are the best. I love the show. Following the show now. Everyone should follow Woo Woo. If you like BCC, you're gonna like Woo Woo for sure. Where can people find it and any other work that you want to promote right now?
Well, they can find Woo Woo on Apple and Spotify and Amazon, anywhere you get your podcasts, as we say. Promoting work, I can't think of anything. Nothing's happening. There's a strike that just ended.
Yeah.
So look for me in the future and some comedy shenanigans.
And follow her
There you go.
on Instagram, sweetie, at Ray
Oh,
Dratch.
yeah, Ray Dratch on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Yeah,
Irene,
post
what
more
about
content.
you? Where can people find you?
Well, first of all, at Irene Bremis 13 on Instagram, and also please, when you listen to the Woo Woo, please review, subscribe, and follow. Okay,
And like,
review,
what are we
subscribe,
supposed to
and
say?
like all of those
We
things.
don't know. We're new to this.
Okay, stalk us. Basically, we're
Okay.
giving you permission.
Great.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I'm
we're not.
sure
We're taking that
you-
back.
I'm
You
gonna
got a lot of
listen more to yours.
I forgot I
I'm
was
gonna
with
listen
Rachel.
more to
It'll
yours
happen.
and get more of an education on the dark side of all of this.
I mean, check some of the facts that you hear on this show for sure.
Yeah,
you might want to just get a
we're
second
guesswork
source.
artists
but-
is what we are.
Second
We're
source.
armchair cryptozoologists.
all right, but you know what? I'm gonna
Having a
think
good
of all
fun at
you
it.
guys when I wake up at 3:15 this morning.
Oh, boy.
Tonight, when I look over, and it's 3:15 or 4:44.
I can't breathe,
Any
and I'll
of
get the
those.
text.
But yes. Anyway,
and I'm
then
going
I'll
to think
think
of you
of
guys
you.
when I'm on a farm someday looking at sheep.
Sheep
And I'm
squatch.
Yeah.
convinced.
And you
I
see
see
it
sheep
shapeshift into a
squatch.
man.
I'm gonna be. They were
Text
right.
us.
They were right about sheep squatch.
I can't believe you just ditched those old two men and you know chose the hag, the old scary lady
Could you
over
imagine
them.
those two gays
They're so
hearing her
pissed
in
at
the
you.
room next door? They're like, "Oh,
I
honey,
know.
Oh, honey.
You should have stayed in 325.
Oh, honey.
Yes.
You got to tell us what hotel that was off air. I want to find out. 'cause
off air, I will.
We're gonna
I'll
check it
tell
out.
you. Okay,
All right.
cool.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
us.
Thank you.
thank you guys."
Oh man, Rachel Dratch, Irene Bremis. I mean, laminate those
Legends.
Club Scout cards, right? They're in the clubhouse now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so great, so fun. Everyone, seriously, go. You're on your podcast app now. Just go click over and follow Woo Woo right now. You will not regret it.
Do it.
So we also want to thank some of our friends who joined us recently on BCC The Other Side. Let's shout out 13 freaky friends.
Ooh,
Here we
nice.
go. Erica,
Thank you.
Mark Billingham,
Thanks, Mark.
Peter Ambrose,
Thanks, Peter.
David Solis,
Thank you, David.
Nora Jan,
Thanks, Nora.
Hishi Cosmeteer,
Thanks, Ishi. Welcome.
Duke Pearson,
Thanks, Duke.
Visitor Rex,
Thank you, visitor.
Karen Kirk,
Thanks, Karen.
Victoria Stoked,
Thank you, Stoked.
Carrie,
Thanks, Carrie.
Taylor Danielson,
Thank you, Taylor.
and my favorite name of the week, and I should not encourage this, Did You Fart?
Nope,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, I did.
Head over to patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub and unlock total access to 3 bonus episodes every month, the BCC Discord, and more. Upgrade to the Cosmeteer membership to unlock 3 music tracks from super producer Riley. And keep your eye on the other side because there are some changes that are very fun that are coming to the Patreon. So,
Exciting stuff.
might have already happened by the time you hear this. Maybe not. We'll keep you posted. Best way to do that is follow us over on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm on Instagram at McMills. Hit me up on Cameo. And also check out Bookie on Max, the new show that I'm a part of. That's all of those episodes are streaming right now on Max. Bookie.
Nice. Hey, I'm on those socials. And then hit me up on Cameo if you'd like a personalized message for you or a friend. You can find that at the link in our bio on Instagram.
Hey, and you could collect all 3 on Cameo and get one from me too. I'll sing you a song. I take requests. It's fun. And, you know, I'm on Instagram and the other things. You'll find
Peace Drone.
Peace drone.
That's right. Yeah. All right, everyone. We're crossing over to the other side to talk about the birth of the Black Triangle phenomenon. And I opened a can of worms this week, okay?
Oh, I bet you did. Holy cow.
This really should be a deep dive episode, but we're gonna get a little dirty over there on the other side. If we don't see you there on Friday, we'll see you back here next Wednesday for an all-new episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed.
Dark regression. Dark regression.
December's over. It's in New York.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan and scored and engineered by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Do us a favor and support the show and unlock 3 bonus episodes every month by becoming a member of our Patreon, BCC The Other Side, which can be found at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.